Welcome to this lesson on blockchain development with Ethereum, presented by Coding Bootcamps. This is Ethereum client-side applications, and these are the building blocks of Ethereum distributed applications, or dApps. A little bit about our instructor. And we can see here some other courses that we may want to look into. And so far, we talked about Ethereum smart contract development using Remix. We looked at the Ethereum network. We looked at Ethereum mining and hashes and cryptography. And now we're moving on to client-side applications. So some of the tools we're going to need for client-side applications includes Node.js. So please go out and download Node.js. And we also need Ganache. So it is part of the Truffle suite, and what Ganache gives us is a private local Ethereum node. So it runs just like an Ethereum node. It has several accounts associated with it, and each account has 100 Ether. But you will need to create a workspace associated with your application. In this case, we have something called My List, but in yours, it can be called whatever is appropriate. So we want to develop using Ganache and Truffle because we want to develop locally first. Validate that the application is working, will solve the problem, and then we want to eventually deploy it to several Ethereum test networks before going to the Ethereum Live network. So again, we can see here one of the addresses, and we can see some Ether has been used. Very important, we need to know where Ganache is running. So it's running locally on port 8545. We also need to install MetaMask. So MetaMask is a browser extension that allows our browser to interact with the Ethereum network or an Ethereum node. And it's going to work with Ganache the exact same way it works with any Ethereum node. So we need to create a MetaMask account. So that involves a username and password that will log in. And we'll also need a wallet seed phrase because we need to also interact with our Ethereum wallet. And a seed phrase or a wallet seed is just simply a phrase that we keep secret, we keep hidden, so we can reconnect back to our Ethereum wallets. So we're validating here what version of Node.js we have. So we run here node -v to get the version. And we need to also install Truffle if we don't have it installed already. In this case, it was version 5.02. However, you can also install any version or even the latest. There is some information up at GitHub, but this may have also become dated, so please check back with your learning materials. To create a Truffle project, you run the command truffle init, and you can navigate through any Explorer, any window. It doesn't have to be Windows Explorer. It could be any visual folder explorer or system explorer, and you will see the Truffle project. So we need to create a Truffle directory first. Then we run truffle init. You can see it right here, and it will build up a framework for our Truffle project. We can take a quick look at this one. So we created this directory, and Truffle gave us this framework to start with. I have added one or two here since that time, but this is basically what you will have when we initialize a project with Truffle. One of the things we're going to do is we're going to compile a contract. So what I like to do is develop the contract for the most part within Remix. You can use another development environment. You don't have to use Remix. You can use Microsoft Code as well. There is a Solidity plugin for that. And then copy it into our Truffle project, and then we can also run Truffle compile from there. So if we take a quick look here, we can go into Solidity, And here is our smart contract. So we can literally just simply copy it in to our contracts folder. Here it is right here. And if we open this, we'll see our smart contract. So this is the copied in contract. And as we run our compiles, and we can also look for information, we can see here the various addresses that are part of the accounts that we're interacting with because we are connected to this node. And we can begin to run some command line commands on the deployed contract. So here we're able to test for a particular deployed contract. So we can see here the address for the contract. So by running the Truffle console, this is called the Truffle console, we can interact with the Truffle console really the same way that our distributed application interacts with it. And we can see here other Truffle console commands. So we can actually run functions from our smart contract. The add student function you can see here, we're adding a student and we'll get the transaction back. And we can also run information here and on the student that we just added and get IDs back and other items. And we can see here we can return information on student 1, student 2, and student 3. So we ran the student list here and it's returning information. So we're actually interacting with the smart contract right from the console. So this is querying output from our smart contract. And these examples show here how when we get to HTML and JavaScript, how they will actually interact as well. So this is communicating right with the contract that has been deployed to Ganache. This will be the same idea, same type of strategy that when we're working with a live Ethereum node. One other thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to make sure that we connect our browser to Ganache. So when we start our browser, we're going to have to make sure that we are using localhost 8545 where Ganache is running. We've got to log in. And again, from this drop down, we have to make sure we're pointing to localhost 8545. And we will have to import an account from Ganache. So just so the MetaMask knows how to communicate. So importing the account will do that. You will also import other accounts for other live Ethereum, the live Ethereum network, and also for any test Ethereum. You can see some other test networks up here. One of the things we'll also have to do is get our private key. So the way we get our private key in Ganache is we click on this key icon for the account that we're working with. You see our private key here. We can actually copy that to the buffer and we can paste that in here to MetaMask as we're importing the account. So we'll need to select private key and we'll need to paste in our private key and then finally click import. Now, Web3. Web3 is a tool for Ethereum. There are these Web3 docs. Web3 is, well, Ganache is part of it. Truffle is part of it. It has, we've all heard of Web, right? Web 2, Web 2.0. Now there's Web 3, which is really a set of tools for Ethereum, but it may be expanding to other blockchains. Web3.js is a set of API libraries which allows us to connect to the Ethereum node. So it uses the HTTP or IPC connections, and it enables us to interact with the Ethereum node. We can go into a lot more on that, but that's almost a class on its own. And you can install Web3 locally. You can see here the commands for that. One of the tools that comes with Node.js is a server called the Light server, and that's what we're going to use right now, is a Light server. So If it didn't install initially from your Node.js, here is the command to install Light Server. And in our case, we're going to be running locally, so we will be running the command npm node package manager run dev. And that will start our Light Server in our development mode. And if we take a look at our Truffle contract, we'll need to create two files, app.js and index.html. These are the recommended names. You can call them other names. And if we take a look here, we can see in here how the Node.js, we've got to go in and do some editing, how we are connecting using the index.html and the Node.js to connect to our Ethereum node. You can see here how it's actually running commands very, very similar to the console, to the Truffle console. And Truffle actually gives us a lot of this. If we didn't have this, we'd have to do a lot of work on our own using the application binary interface. So this this might look like a lot, but this is the web3.js gives us a framework. I copied a lot of this already in, and I just simply edited what I needed to. Things like this, the Windows alert and other things. And the HTML here is actually a pointer back to other parts of the Web3.js, the JavaScript. So let's take a quick look before we do the summary. So if we go in here into source and we go into app.js, I downloaded again a lot of this. And we can take a quick look at this, and what we are doing is part of where we are calling different parts of the smart contract actually comes in here and builds sections of a list which go back to which right here goes back to our HTML. So we can see here we have a ID student list or stud list, an ID called content. If we go back here to our app.js, we can see this stud list here or student list. So we can actually see the mapping here of how, and we can see completed list as well. We can actually see how our application is built. So the HTML and the JavaScript, the appearance or the rendering, there's some mapping involved. It's not too bad. And you can see here how, and again, this was a framework that I just copied in. A lot of this information was there, and I just simply went in and edited it. Now I've already run, if we go up here, I've already run Light Server, and so we see it running here, npm run dev, so this is up and running now. And if we go to the browser, we can actually see our list. So we can see we can see an Ethereum, or at least a wallet address here, and this one ends in 76. If we open up Ganache here, 76. So this is the address that I'm working with, and this is localhost at 8545. So MetaMask is set up here to point to localhost. If I go to this drop down here, we can see I'm pointing to the local host, and I have already imported the account. So we can see it's account for. So what I can do is click on the student list now, and if I wanted to mark Rob Thomas here as present, I can click that. Now what in this case, what will happen is I will get prompted by MetaMask to confirm the transaction. And after the transaction is confirmed, we'll see now that Rob Thomas is marked as present. We can also add somebody new. We can add Paul O'Brien, since that already came down. I don't think we have a Paul O'Brien, do we? No. You can click that, and MetaMask pops up and requests us to confirm. And as soon as we confirm, now that confirmed, there would normally be an exchange of Ether, but in this case, very little. This is all test Ether. And Paul O'Brien, I'll mark him as present. So that is an Ethereum application, and we are again running with our Ganache. That is our Ethereum node, and eventually we will, with the help of MetaMask and our deployments, we will go out and eventually run on these Ethereum test networks, and eventually the Ethereum main network, or the live network. So in summary, we looked at Ganache and Node.js, MetaMask. We discussed the Truffle suite. We were migrating and deploying a contract to Ethereum. We used Truffle console to call the contract. So we used Truffle console, and we started to interact with it to understand how our client-side application will interact with Ethereum. And we used the Truffle console as a dApp, and then we used Web3 and the other node packages to help us build a client-side application. Please review this assessment. And for more resources, please consult your learning materials. Thank you.